Okay, hello everyone. Happy Sunday or even Monday if you're in Australia or New Zealand. Clive is joining us, and also Rafi Farber is coming on tonight, which will be good. He hasn't been for a while. So the title of the live stream tonight is British Pound's Last Days Are Numbered. One thing I would qualify, it's not just the British pound. We saw last week even the dollar finished at an all-time low, a weekly low versus gold. All the other major currencies did the same. Um, Even the pound traded to a new low. And I also state that a bit of physical gold and silver will go a long way. And yeah, nothing's changed. Unfortunately, what I think is happening is translating into a world that's becoming more and more unhinged. Does it mean gold and silver won't help? I don't think so. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a more and more complicated world, and hopefully having a little bit of gold and silver will make our lives easier. And the easier life is, the happier maybe we will be, and our families and friends too. So nice to see a lot of you here already. Got Justin Taylor, Dutch Libertarian, Andrew Arama, Heil Silver, Olivier Leroy is here, Dutch Libertarian, John 14:6 from Northwest UK. Riqua from Montreal, RB. Graham says, Evening Mario. GH, longtime follower. Gitmo reception checking in, Mario. Indy, Muhammad Yassin, market crash soon. Well, who knows? Uh, um, the thing is, the currencies are going down so quickly that the markets, stock markets, and companies look better than the currency. So you never know. But there's some interesting news vis-a-vis Chinese AI and a new AI they have that it costs a lot less and a lot less time to develop it and is very competitive. We'll look into that. Chris de Groot says hello. Darren Smith, Brady, Rachel Glendenning from Yorkshire or York, sorry. Andrew Brown. Yeah, Rudy is here. There he is. He's splashed out. Uh, Hi, Andrew Watson from Basingstoke. Jiddu the Voice from rainy Scheveningen. It's raining here too. Got someone from Phuket in Thailand. It's a place I've never been to, Thailand. Farm Dog says, Hi, Mary and Rudy from the 51st state of Canada. Yeah. Well, we can talk about the new administration. I saw that they've just imposed 25% tariffs on Colombia, and Trump said it could get worse. So we'll look into that. Hi, Andy. He says, Ciao, Mario. Uh, well, Vince, that's what they're planning, 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada. I checked Colombia. They do quite a bit of gold mining. I'm not sure they're the biggest gold miners in the world, but we'll look into that. So yeah, as I said, Clive and Rafi are coming on tonight. They should be here in a few minutes. Dirk Zink, yeah, I still miss Rudy. Not Rudy, sorry, Billy. Uh, the old dog. Yeah, he was really nice. He was 14 and a half when he passed on. My wife misses him a lot too. How long before the UK defaults? Says Andrew James. Well, you know, it could be any time. I think the people in charge, well, they're clueless, and I think the people who tell them what to do, they know what they want. Um, so we'll look into that, of course. Rumit Samaya says, "Good evening, Mario and everyone." There's Rob McElroy. Yeah, he's in New Zealand. It's Monday there. He says, "Morning to all." Dylan Roberts from North Wales. MIK, did you see Millet's speech at the World Economic Forum? No, I didn't. I have to say, why would he go there, and why would they accept him? That's why I don't trust the guy. I know everything he says. A lot of the things he says makes a lot of sense, but I just don't trust him. I think he's controlled opposition. So there you go. That's the way I feel about him. If let me just change here. Hi, Clive. What I wish he had done was abolish the Central Bank of Argentina. He said he would do that, and he hasn't. Until someone does that, I'm not really trusting them. Hi, Clive. Someone just
Uh, uh,
asked. Sorry, go ahead.
Good evening, Mario. Good evening to all your viewers and listeners.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Clive. Nice to see you. Rafi is coming on as well. Should be here in a few minutes. Someone
You were
asked,
just talking about President Milei not abolishing the Central Bank of Argentina.
yeah, that's right. And uh, I, I mean, he went to Davos last year and then this year, and he doesn't like the people there or their policies, and they don't like him. So why would they give him a platform, and why would he go talk to them? I just think it's strange. So I'm not sure he's the real thing, Clive. That's just the way I feel. I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, I don't, I'd much rather hear from someone down in the country to see how they feel. I mean, on the one hand, his policies have put thousands and thousands, millions, in fact, on the poverty line. But he has succeeded in one thing, and that's getting the inflation rate down by cutting expenditure left, right, and center.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of that stuff that he's done, and it's going to be tough on the public, and they were already suffering. So I'm not saying it's right that they suffer, but it's really hard. So I just think it's very strange. If I were him, and I would tell the World Economic Forum, no,
Once upon a time, Argentina was one of the greatest nations on the earth. And, there's a real chance that if he pulls this off, it could come around again and become once again a great trading nation with all of the rest of the world.
That's true. It's true. And I guess someone could argue that it's better for him to get on a platform to tell the whole world what they need to do. I just, or maybe the World Economic Forum is backtracking and seeing that they need to do something, or else they're going to be irrelevant. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I didn't watch his speech. And yeah. So, Clive, the topic today, and of course, we can also answer a lot of questions, and we can talk about silver as well. That today, how to get silver, what kind of silver people should get or might want to get. But yeah, the topic today is the pounds, and the reason I picked the pound is just because I live here in the UK, and a lot of the viewers are in the UK. But I think a lot of the major fiat currencies, they're not their days are numbered in terms of purchasing power, and we might even see some kind of hyperinflation or massive inflation. And I say in the title, a bit of physical gold and silver will go a long way. So yeah, we can talk a little bit about silver.
I mean, Britain has, to some extent, seen its importance globally decline significantly. They made, at one point they had some sort of recovery as they had a voice in Europe. They were part of the European Union, but since Brexit, they've seen declining trade with their biggest trade partner, the European Union. They're struggling to get foreign investment now. They've got large spending commitments from the public sector. So Britain's struggling to turn itself around, and there are some hopes out there, but um, whether they'll come to pass or not, I don't know. I'm not very confident, to be honest with you,
I
about the
think
level of the pound.
I think their decline started when you left, Clive, 45 years or so.
Yeah, yeah, that was about when I left. We were suddenly a much more important country back then. I can say that.
Yeah. Hi, Rafi. How are you?
Hi, am I late?
No, no.
Good,
You're
good
on.
evening, Rafi. How are you?
Good evening, Clive. So you know you left England 45 years ago and you still have the accent.
That's right. Well, throughout my entire career, despite working in Switzerland, everywhere I ever worked, this included the very Swiss banks I worked in, the whole thing, the clients, the bank, the internal politics, everything worked in English. I'll say this: even the French-speaking clients chose to speak in English. And maybe that was something to do with the old days when they thought that perhaps the fisc couldn't understand them if they were speaking in English. But we were the Anglo-Saxon department, and plenty of French clients in the Anglo-Saxon department choosing to speak English.
Yeah, and Clive, sorry, Rafi, you will not comply. I like that.
Yeah, this is from the COVID days.
Yeah. So, Rafi, just to give you a little update, I always start a little early, so you weren't late. Um, the title of the live stream is British Pounds Last Days Are Numbered. A bit of physical gold and silver will go a long way. And I want to share this chart here, and I'll quickly go over it. And then I want to see what your opinion is on it. And I would add as well that the reason why I picked on the British pound is that I live here, but all the other major currencies they're in the same boat, I would say. So I was able with TradingView, I hadn't used I used TradingView, but I didn't realize they did like the public debt for the UK and GDP, and you can put it together. Because I was looking at the gold price, and this is in percentage terms, so it looks like a lot more, like it's breaking out quite a bit, and it's comparing it to the public debt, which is dark red, and the GDP, which is in purple. One interesting thing, though, for you guys and the viewers, is that prior to around 2011, 12, GDP was growing more than the public debt. And then all of a sudden, GDP growth took off. And then it took off even more. Sorry, not GDP growth. The public debt overtook GDP. It actually started taking off after the '08 crisis because the government had to bail out the banks. And very few people talk about that. And then by 2011, 2012, it crossed over. And now it's getting even worse. And it's not surprising to me that the gold price is getting pretty much out of control. And this is since like 1972, 73. And what this tells me is that unless we get the debt down and government spending down and we deregulate, we could be in a terminal decline for the currency. Just want to start with you, Rafi, see what you think about that.
I've never seen this chart before, so that's all on the same scale then, right?
Yeah, it's in percentage terms in the same scale. Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is the public debt. That's UK debt, right?
Yeah, the government debt.
Okay. And UK national GDP. I think it's Alistair MacLeod that talks about how GDP is really just uh, it's really the same as the public debt. It's just a different way to count it because GDP includes government spending in it. So the government spending is from the debts because the debt is the money, and then
Yeah.
it's all the same circle. I mean, these are all. There's not really that much difference between what the public debt is and what the GDP is. It's just a different way to count the same number. So I mean I didn't realize that gold is basically going vertical since it looks like that looks like 2024. When is
Yeah,
that?
the beginning of 2024. But one thing that uh, it doesn't really worry me because I've been saying this would happen, and hopefully we're prepared. But it is the fact that the public debt now is growing a lot faster than the GDP, and that's going to make things even worse. It's like a uh, that's why I think, we could see 1976 happen, and maybe Clive might want to talk about that. What happened in 1976, Clive, with the UK and the IMF? And back then, the UK didn't have as much debt.
You tell me what happened in 1976 with the IMF and the UK, Mario.
I thought you'd know, but
No, I don't.
they bailed out the UK. They lent them £4 billion. Uh,
Okay. I mean, I know that sort of in the late 90s, Britain was really struggling to stay in the European, uh, what they call it, the exchange rate mechanism or something like that. And that's when George Soros took a punt at the pun, but obviously that was a decade later. And they were being bailed out at that time as well, but they basically ran out of money and that was it.
Yeah, but even back then in the early 90s, the public debt, as you can see here, was growing a lot slower than the GDP. So I think the real Rubicon was crossed here in 2008 with
Yeah,
the
that was obviously in 2008, virtually every clearing bank in the UK went bankrupt or would have gone bankrupt had it not been bailed out by the British government. The British government pumped in several times over billions and billions into the equity capital of various UK banks to prop them up. And then along came Brexit, and we lost our or to some extent lost our major trading partner, Europe. And then, of course, we had the COVID crisis. So over and over again, rather than face the crisis, they dipped their hands into the pocket by printing more money, expanding the debt, borrowing money, spending it, and trying to bail their way out with spent money. Now, the trouble is, we've got to a point of no return where the debt is expanding. One, because the interest rate is on the renewed debt, the maturing debt, is much higher than it was, and two, because they got into the habit of spending all this money and they can't stop. So the debt is now spiraling out of control. They've just discovered a 20 billion black hole in Britain's budget. So it seems to me that the pound is probably heading lower for the time being. I think public confidence in the pound is declining, and it could weaken seriously if confidence is lost in the Bank of England or the UK's fiscal policies.
Yeah, there's thank you, Stephen Monplaisir, for your super chat for the three amigos. Please, Clive, tell us about your Dazzlinger work. I don't know.
Oh, okay, he's talking about the art on my wall, isn't he? Um,
Is any of
so
it Hunter Biden's work?
Oh yeah. Do you have any
I,
Bidens?
yeah, I wouldn't be buying art from Mr. Bide, but if you look behind me, you can see the horsemen, the four horsemen, the flowers, the scene, and then there's a dance on the I think it's on the right hand side of your screen. I'm not sure, maybe it's on the left hand side, depending which way you look at it. Um, they're all by Afremid As what's his name? Leonid Efremov. Leonid Efremov, who lived and died in Mexico. I bought them many, many years ago before he died, but he's been dead now for, I don't know, 5 years or something. But if you still want his art, I guess you could probably find it on the internet. I think the executors are still selling off some of his works of art.
Was he
Um,
Russian, Clive?
I think he most likely was Russian, moved to the United States, then left the United States for Mexico. That's most likely what happened. I kind of read that many, many years ago.
Yeah, Rafi, going back to the '08 crisis, Clive said that all the UK major banks were going to go bust. I always thought that they should have let them go bust, just like they did it in Iceland. And people say, "Oh, you couldn't have done that," but Iceland did it. I know it's a smaller country, but I would say we wouldn't have as much debt as we have now. And yes, the bankers in the city of London would have bitten the dust, but the country
You,
itself would be.
Mario might remember that Britain even bailed out the investors in the Icelandic banks.
Yeah, I know. One of my neighbors had some money there, and he was happy. And I said, "Well, I had to pay for that." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, taxpayers always pay for it." So I want to see what Rafi thinks, because most people, when I say that, they say, "Oh, they couldn't have let it happen."
You mean let 2008 play itself out?
Yeah,
You can, and what would have that's what's going to have to happen anyway. When they can no longer bail out because the currency is dead, so then you can bail out nominally for, infinite amount of dollars or pounds or whatever, but once the dollar or the pound has no value, then you're bailing out nothing, and then you end up with the same reset you were going to have in 2008. It's just going to be a lot worse or a
yeah.
lot sharper. So if they had allowed the debt to unravel and for the banks to go bankrupt, then what would have happened is they would have the monetary system would have returned to the moment it was at when it was balanced somewhere between 1933 and 1971. So gold would have been 35 bucks, $35 an ounce or whatever the British. I don't know what the
It was
exchange
about
rate was in.
17, it was about 17 pounds an ounce.
Okay,
Uh,
and when did Britain go off the gold standard?
1931.
1930. Yeah, okay. So the US was the last one on. So it would have gone back to that price, and the banking system would have been the size of it would have been what it was in 1931, and it would have gone back to that world, and then you can inflate from there again. But basically, the only way to stop something like that is to revalue gold versus the fiat currency, which is what happened in 1931, 1933 in the U.S. So you'd have to revalue it from, what is it now? It's like $42 an ounce to something like 30, 40,000. And that would de facto be the same consequence or the same symptoms as what a hyperinflation would be. If gold is revalued officially on a central bank balance sheet to about 30, $40,000, that means that all of the purchasing power goes away from the fiat and goes into gold, which is the same process as hyperinflation. It would be statutory hyperinflation rather than that process playing out in the market um, uh, de
Yeah,
facto.
really interesting concept there, Rafi. And the other thing as well, if you think about it, if you price things in gold already now, prices have been going down since 2000, since the beginning of the century. So if gold were to be revalued to 30, 40,000, it would be also like a total deflationary collapse for those who own gold. But for those who don't own gold, they just won't have any monetary asset at all. What do you think, Clive?
Well, Mary, you'd be very happy because everything would be very cheap for you if they revalued gold at where it should be. And I agree with Rafi. I think the 30, $40,000 level is about the right level. That would represent 20% coverage for the debt, um, something like that. So really, I don't think they're going to do it anytime soon because it'd be very hard to do. But what I think they will do is continue to inflate away the currency until they're faced with some sort of crisis. And in a crisis, they will have to back the currency with something. And at that point, who knows where it'll be? It won't be 30, 40,000. It'll probably be several hundred thousand.
Yeah, Clive said I'd be really happy. I guess it would be like a Pyrrhic victory because the whole world, unfortunately, would be in really bad shape. But I've tried to warn a lot of people, and hopefully, I have. Just wanted to share something else here because some people might be thinking, "Oh, you're exaggerating about the UK," but this came out today as well. I just saw it. Civil service incompetence to blame for borrowing surge, as says ex-Treasury Minister, and he says Lord Agnew on how global investors have put UK on suicide watch over debt fears. I agree with this suicide watch, but I don't think you can blame just civil servants for the huge amount of debt that the UK is under and how much the currency has debased because the civil servants they don't really take the big political decisions. So I actually think he's not talking about the fact that the bankers were bailed out, but he even mentioned here, Clive. He says, and Rafi, my own view is that we will face an IMF moment of 1976. There will be a point at which the public debt markets do not believe the narrative that this country can continue to borrow money and use it as ineffectively as we're using. And I just want to jump to this because we're doing all the wrong things. We're increasing public sector jobs instead of cutting the public sector and allowing, and putting less strain on the private sector. So I don't see this improving. Any of you guys?
That well, that's right. It's not improving. You can't cut spending by spending more on public sector. If they're going to spend money, they need to spend it on projects which will deliver a return to the country, such as new economic zones and things like that.
Rafi, what do you think?
There's no way to cut the debt in a fiat system without triggering a banking crisis. So you can blame it on whoever you want. Ultimately, it's the system itself, and then whoever is driving that system is going to take the blame. And so whether you're going to blame the guy in the front row or the second row or the third row, you're all on the same bus, and you decide to get on that bus in 1971, and now this is where it's leading you. So you can't really blame it on any single person or any single party. They're all part of a system that requires that debt continue to expand. Uh, so it's not like if they actually control spending and if and they balance the budget, well then eventually a big bank is going to collapse because they only survive as the money supply continues to expand. So basically that means essentially that all banks are inherently bankrupt because they can only survive based on expanding debt.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's what banks do. They lend
yeah,
money to people who haven't got it.
Yeah, and
yeah, but they themselves don't even have it.
it's funny, Rafi, you said it, the system you got on the bus, and that's how it goes. And I was walking Rudy today, and I kind of think a lot sometimes, and I thought you can't really blame anyone for what's happening because no, very few people know what the problem is and that there is a problem. So they just go along, they get their mortgage, they borrow, and the chancellor thinks, oh, we need to keep going and stuff. Um, and I'm not like absolving anyone, but unfortunately, it's like we're just looking at the tree and not looking at the whole forest. So there are people, I guess, like you and I and Clive who do it. And hopefully we'll be able to help a few people. And talking about help, thank you, Blue Water Stacks, for your super chat. He says, I want to thank the three of you. We value your opinions greatly. Thank you, Blue Water Stacks. And
Oh, what a nice comment. It's lovely to get comments like that, isn't it, Mario? It's that sort of comment which keeps you going, keeps me going, wants
yeah,
us to come on here and share our knowledge with other people for free.
yeah, it's not like Yeah, it's very nice. Girl
Lovely
OG,
man. Blue water stacks. Well done.
Girl OG from Norway, thank you for your super chat. What are your three musketeers take on when SHTF? Where and how can we sell our gold and silver? Money is worth nothing. I'll let Rafi answer that first. I'm sure Rafi will have a good answer to that. How do you use your gold and silver? I'm not even going to say sell your gold and silver when there's no fiat money around or fiat currency.
Sell it for what? Sell it for whatever you want to buy. You know,
Yeah, just
when you
exchange it.
buy, yeah, you buy things. So buy things. The immediate aftermath of the collapse of fiat currency is going to be a world where a whole bunch of people, let's say like 99% of the planet, suddenly loses all of their purchasing power. But when that happens, it's not like purchasing power gets erased, it just gets transferred. And so it'll be transferred to you. And that's the market signal that you have to be a responsible citizen, a responsible citizen of Earth, and buy as much as you can. It doesn't even matter what you buy, though. The objective is just to get the money flowing out so that whatever remains of the division of labor can be maintained and that human civilization can continue at from some base to rebuild itself. You know, we saw after World War II, you can have an entire continent in disarray and destruction, and at that point the dollar was gold, and the dollar started spreading around. It just happened to me that that's what gave the United States such incredible privilege to later on export its inflation out into the world because basically the U.S. was buying everything that it could, buying influence, buying political power with gold, and then what happened was the entire world ended up on a dollar standard after World War II, which was a gold standard because the dollar was gold. So it'll be the same thing this time, except instead of the center of power being in the U.S., the centers of power will be in us because we're the ones that have the money, and not even the U.S. does anymore.
In response to that question about where can I sell my gold and silver, maybe I'll give a kind of answer. A very good friend of mine said to me, Clive, you and I have a great responsibility. We have to acquire as much silver coinage as we can because when the SHTF happens, we're going to have to look after our friends, our neighbors, and our family because they don't know what's coming and they literally have no silver. He was talking about silver in this case. And you need to have a lot of it because you might only need part of it yourself, but you're going to have to look after an awful lot of people around you. And of course, those people are going to be wanting to hold silver or acquire silver, and anyone who's got any surplus wealth will be a natural buyer of it because they won't trust any replacement fiat currency which comes along anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I try to sometimes, if we get people doing work in the house, a builder or a plumber or anyone, I pay them, of course, with fiat currency, but then I give them like a silver coin, and they're like, "Whoa, that's nice." I said, "No, that's silver." So like, this is a half crown, which is pre 1920. It's like the UK junk silver. It's the old 30 pence, so it's like 1/8 of a pound. And then you've got also like a crown, which is 60 pence. This is a really nice one with Victoria.
Hmm.
And then uh, in the US, you can use these, the Morgan dollars. And yeah, you don't really sell it. You just exchange it that because it's money. And people might ask, well, how much will it be worth? Well, the market will decide the ratio of, let's say, a silver dollar to, I don't know how many dozen eggs you're going to get for it. Right now, I saw someone said that in one of the states in the US, he's paying like $10 for a dozen eggs. So this is about 30 bucks. So you can get like 3 dozen eggs for that. But you might get even more once everything implodes. Rafi, any view on that? And maybe we could also talk about what kind of silver is the best one to hold, Clive. You said you wanted
Uh,
to talk a little bit about that.
yeah. On that, I often, over the years, I've been giving away, like you, Mario, the odd silver coin to friends and family and others, and some of them have become collectors in their own way. The youngest collector is the teacher of one of my little boy. He doesn't really teach the boy, but he picks him up from school and brings him home and then plays with him for an hour or so. But he's a collector of coins, and I usually pay him with these stacks, they're bank wrapped stacks of 50-cent pieces. That's 25 francs in the stack here. And you never know what you're going to find because some of the old 50-cent sweet pieces before 1967 are made of 95% silver. Now, the chance of you finding a silver one in a stack like this is very slim, but as I already knew he was a collector of silver and other coins at the age of 12, I slipped in a pre 1967 coin, a 1940s 50-cent coin, and you should have heard his screams of joy when he found it in one of these stacks. Absolutely overjoyed. So it's great fun if the person knows that the old silver coins are. You can't do this in America or the UK because the old silver coins have been replaced. But in Switzerland, they look identical. They haven't changed the color of the coinage or the size of the coinage in 100 years, 150 years. So the little boy was absolutely over the moon and ecstatic to find a 1940s 50-cent piece. What was your question, Mario? Sorry, I interrupted and went off
No,
topic
I
there.
mean, what kind of
Oh,
silver
yes, silver.
you recommend people who are starting, be it in the UK or in the US or in Switzerland?
Right.
Uh,
So, first of all, wherever you are, it's a great idea to own some coins of the realm of your country from the time when those coins were made of silver. In almost every country, you can buy these coins by the kilogram if you look in the right places. If you don't know where to look, go to a gold or silver dealer, and they'll tell you where you can acquire the kilo bags of silver coins.
Excuse me,
So that's the
I'm just gonna put a page that's really good that will tell you everything about the silver coins that were circulated. It's called Silver Age coins. So, for example, here I've got like the crown, which I just showed. So it gives you all the details, how much silver, the weight, and you can go for any country. So it's really you got even Israel here, Rafi. Good.
silveragecoins.com.
Yeah, let's see. Lirot. Uh,
Oh,
you had silver coins up until 72. So there you go.
So these coins were in circulation, and the advantage of having the coins of the realm is that everybody in your country will still recognize them, certainly the older people, and in a crisis, they'll figure them out very, very fast. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
But the second type of coins I think people need to think about getting, there's two or three things. First of all, many countries produce silver coins, modern day silver coins. Like in the UK, they've got the silver Britannias as an example. There's many other examples in the UK. In America, they've got the are they called dollar eagles, or I'm not sure if that's the name. They've got an eagle on the back,
Silver Eagles.
silver eagles. So every country, Canada's got their silver maple leaves. South Africa's got the silver Krugerrands. They used to be only in gold, but they're in silver too now, and so on. So they're well-known coins and easily recognized. So wherever you go in the world, you will still be able to spend these coins because people will recognize them and know them as authentic coins. And the third thing I think, which is great fun for people to collect, would be to look at some of the more interesting collections. So each country has got its own special coins. For example, in the UK, there are the coins called the Beasts of England. It's called the Queen's Beasts or now the King's Beasts. And there's probably about 13 or 14 coins to the collection. Get one or two, and then it's great fun seeing if you find the others at a reasonable price. Australia's got the Lunar collection. And again, this is a series of 12 coins from the Chinese zodiac calendar. And they bring them out one coin a year, and then they start again after 12 years with the next series. So on the third series now. So if you can buy the Australian lunar collection coins, then it can become great fun filling your book, your collection with the missing coins. And I think that's that's something you can talk about with your friends and get them interested in the idea that perhaps a little bit of silver won't do any harm. And it's certainly very beautiful to look at. The other thing I kind of like are the chunky coins. These are the big, heavy coins. So a good example of that are the old French 50 franc pieces. Oh, and you've got a one
Oh,
kilogram kookaburra there.
Yeah.
what is
That's
that?
actually 10 ounces.
Oh, it's 10 ounces. Okay.
It's a silver coin, but it's huge.
The silver kookaburra from Australia, the Puff Mint. Beautiful coin, very rare.
Go hard 50-ounce bar. I mean, if you want to store more, quite a bit of silver, it's bulky. So if you want to if you have enough coins, you might want to start thinking about the bars. Rafi, any opinions on what kind of silver one should hold?
Well, I think the first thing that you should probably get are dimes and quarters, just because those would be the easiest to do basic transactions with. Just imagine like everybody wakes up one day and the dollar and the pound and the euro, none of them work. They're all worthless. So the most important thing is that you have silver in small enough denominations to buy food wherever you can find it. I mean, like the huge conglomerates, like the big warehouses and Costco and Walmart and those things, the ones that rely on a heavy international trade, right, they're going to collapse first because their supply chains are the weakest, and global trade is going to severely decline in the immediate aftermath of the collapse
Hey,
of fiat currency. But where you probably will be able to get food is if you go to your local farmers market, farms that are like the farmers around your house, around your neighborhood, they're going to need money to continue growing their food. So you want to go directly to them and then pay them for whatever produce you can get. And local economies will come back first. So if you have silver coins that you can use to buy retail amounts of food, that'll be the best thing for your local economy. And once you have your local economy back in a basic sense, like food is being grown and electricity is being produced and in a small enough circle, then you can start building out from there. But you want the retail sizes to be able to transact just with your neighbors and your immediate local economy.
Clive, Keith England is saying that the Swiss silver coins are 835, not 95. And I think
Yeah, he's probably right. I haven't got it in my head, but I think from memory he's right.
yeah. The other thing, I near my golf club, there's a farm because it's out in the country, and I found that they sell raw milk. So, and they sell some really nice cheese. So I go there and buy some raw milk, non-pasteurized milk.
Does
And
it taste better?
yeah, and it's good for your gut, actually. And I was there it was yesterday, and there's a queue. There's a lot of it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's a really nice farm, and there's quite a few people. And we're waiting. They have a little shed. You go in and you take the milk and you pay it yourself, you know. You used to be able to pay cash, but someone stole some money, so you have to use a card. But one of the ladies that runs the farms, she was bringing a lot of the milk in because they'd run out. And so I took two bottles and I'd paid already. And I said to her, would you take silver? And she was a bit confused. And I didn't really have time to talk to her because there are other people. But I'm sure that kind of, if, like you said, Raf, if the whole world currency system collapses, I'm sure if you go there and tell the lady, look, I've got one of these with Victoria, they will take it for milk or cheese.
Yeah.
Mario, point her in direction of one of your videos, and I'm sure she'll take your silver next time.
Yeah, I didn't really have much time to talk to her, and usually there's no one there because the shop runs by itself. So
I saw one of your viewers said that is Britain something like the question was something along the lines of is Britain going into the hyperinflation that we saw in the 1920s in Germany, the Weimar inflation?
It's possible. I mean, that chart that I had earlier is looking pretty bad. Or maybe, like Rafi said, they might just do it in one go and revalue the price of gold much higher, which would mean the same thing. And but if, basically that's what it is. The pound will not buy anything anymore, and I think maybe the people, maybe the system is designed for this, for it to collapse, so that maybe they can try to bring in something new. What do you think, Ruffy?
Is it designed to collapse? I don't think it's designed to collapse. What I think happened is basically that they kept trying to inflate and inflate, and in 1929 they couldn't inflate anymore. And then once they couldn't inflate anymore, banks started to collapse, and they're like, we don't want that to ever happen again. So we'll just make sure that we can keep inflating the money forever, and the banks will never collapse again. And then we'll be in like this paradise and Garden of Eden, and we'll give the banks the tree of life elixir, and then we never have to work again. And it didn't quite work out that way.
I mean,
No.
one of the reasons for the Weimar inflation was that they printed money recklessly. Do you see any similarities with today?
Yeah. Definitely. And I mean, what Rafi said is really interesting, and it's so simple. There's no such thing as a free lunch. You can't, like, if printing money and out of thin air to uh, astronomical levels made everyone rich, Zimbabwe and Venezuela would be the richest countries in the world. But I want to switch over a little bit to more current events, guys. And I just saw before we started this evening, this post on X or tweet on Twitter. uh, Trump says he will impose emergency 25% tariffs on all Colombian goods coming into the US. We'll raise that to 50% in 1 week. One thing I would say, one good that won't probably be tariffed is something that's white and the CIA makes a lot of money from. But the reason for this, because I was surprised, it's
50%
I was
tariffs
gonna,
on cocaine. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
I was gonna say, Mario, there's gonna be a few less nose problems if they put the tax on that.
no, I'm sure that will come in quite easily still. This guy said, good, Colombia and ally in South America can either do this the easy way or the hard way, repatriate their citizens in the US illegally. I think that's why he put that, because Colombia, they refuse to allow these illegals to fly back to Colombia. And It's interesting though because they're quite a big well, coffee, for the coffee price is gonna go, is already quite high. I think gold, I don't think they produce that much gold, but it might um, affect. They produce 72 tons a year. They export 72 tons.
Yeah,
So
you know, Barry, you're talking about coffee, but I like to talk about a personal experience, and that's cocoa, or rather chocolate.
yeah,
Um, I don't know if you've been down to the shops recently to try and buy any chocolate bars. I'm a chocoholic, so I like chocolate. You'll find that the pure chocolate bars are much fewer and far between than before. And all the chocolate manufacturers are now stuffing their chocolate bars with nuts and raisins and biscuits and other things. And if you buy a bar, you'll find there's far more nuts in the chocolate bar than there was a few years ago. That's another form of shrinkflation. They're reducing the chocolate content
yeah.
wherever they can.
Yeah, I've noticed that, Clive. Yeah, good point. All the chocolate bars have Oreo cookies now, everything in them, peanut butter. Yeah.
I mean, try and find a pure chocolate bar. It's there, but it's in the minority now.
Well, Rafi, I guess is that kosher coffee, chocolate with stuff in it, or you
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
As
not.
long as it's not like, I don't know, like pork chocolate or something. You're not gonna have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've also noticed that in Israel, there's fewer 100% cocoa bars. I can still find them, Actually, my daughters love the 100%.
Yeah,
It's 100% with like these tiny little orange shreds in it just to give it a little bit of sweetness.
yeah.
So, I've trained my kids to enjoy the bitterness of chocolate, not necessarily like the really candy like milk chocolate is less of a favorite around here.
I bought a Kit Kat when I was in Miami, and it tasted completely different than the Kit Kat in the UK. It tasted a lot sweeter. So maybe what they're saying about the food in the US is true.
Yeah. Wait, where's cocoa now at like 11,000 per ton or something like that?
Let's say cocoa futures prices. Let's look it up. Bar chart. Uh, let's do the uh, 11,600. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, you can see it's gone through the roof, hasn't it? It's gone from like three to 11.
yeah. This chart is a bit. Let me put. I think I can put the front month. Uh, weekly nearby. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that looks
Yeah,
better.
so you see it was down at $3, $4, and now it's what, 11, 12, going on, well, it's past 12 at one point.
Yeah, I'm just trying to change the time. Oh, yeah, there you go.
And that's what, only in a year. Okay,
Yeah,
2 years.
and
Two
I
years.
think yeah, Brazil is a big. I think West Ghana is a big cocoa producer, and I guess Colombia as well, according. Uh,
What is happening? Why is cocoa
Cocoa.
doing this and not the other it would be interesting. Wait, I'm gonna look this up um in the meantime on gold charts or us that the cocoa price in
Yeah.
gold terms.
And Clive, the other thing I want to just mention quickly is that, the government here is desperate to get the economy growing. So one of the great ways they're looking to do that, and I'm being sarcastic, of course, is to make it easier for people to borrow, first-time buyers to borrow even more money to buy a house. I mean, that just shows that what Rafi said is right. They have to keep inflating and increasing the debt. And this is not going to improve growth. It's just going to make the cost of living, even more difficult for the average person. And the other thing, Clive, that Rachel Reeves has come up with, she said, "Oh, we're going to help Manchester United build a new stadium, and that's going to help growth." I mean, we're really,
That's
Yeah,
dumb.
well, it's what the country needs, more football.
yeah. Rafi, you want to share a screen?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just get rid of a few
This
tabs
this
here.
coffee crisis will be weather driven, won't it? It always is when there's a shortage of a commodity. It's not a
Yeah,
supply
okay,
chain
so
in this
here, yeah,
case.
I can share it now. Do I have permission?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So here's the cocoa to gold ratio, right? So the it in 1971, the all-time high was actually 1977, it looks like. So it was 32 ounces of gold for a unit of cocoa. I don't know what the cocoa
A
unit
ton, I
is.
think is a ton. Could be
Ton.
a
Okay, so 36 ounces per ton or 34 ounces per ton. And now like we've gone down to record lows in 2021. And yes, and in 2023 there was a little bit of a surge here from like 2 ounces to 4 to 5. So yeah, that's a big move. It's a big move, but it's not the cocoa is not the problem, it's the dollar.
Yeah, I think it could be a little bit, Clive, of the weather and the crops, but the major underlying reason is that cocoa is too cheap versus real money. So it could start happening to a lot of other commodities. Got a few super chats here that
Yeah, what do you think will happen to Britain, sorry about commodities, if we have an oil crisis?
Britain, well, it's going to get even worse because
Yeah, because they
Ad
import all
Miliband,
the oil.
yeah, Ad Miliband once He wants solar panels and wind turbines, which are not very reliable. Frank Kavija, thank you for your super chat. When Money Dies by Adam Ferguson is a good read. How quickly does UK banking crisis spread to the US? Tariff effects. Yeah, I've recommended that book quite a few times here on the channel. Uh, yeah, uh, Clive's got one. Rafi, do you? I guess the if the banking crisis starts in the US or UK or in Europe, it will spread very quickly because all the big international banks are interconnected. Is that the way you guys see it?
Yeah, yeah. If it's a minor country like the Asian financial crisis started in some obscure country in East Asia. I don't remember which one.
Indonesia, I
Thailand?
think.
Is it
Indonesia,
Thailand? I thought, but yeah.
Thailand. Okay, Thailand. I
Maybe.
mean, whatever. But it's spread throughout East Asia pretty quickly. Russia was involved. Um, I don't know exactly how the U.S. didn't escape it, but they escaped the worst of it. But if it's the a major the UK is a major financial center. We know that, because they're the largest gold market. I think the London uh gold market is much bigger than New York. So they are argue on some levels they're even bigger than the US banking system. So if there's a banking crisis in the UK, it will absolutely spread to the US very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's somewhere in Africa or Asia, it might take a little bit more time, but it's going to spread globally anyway.
I got another super chat here. Sorry, Clive. We'll come back in a minute. Thanks, Chris. Mario, you mentioned recently that you aren't a big fan of Judy Shelton's gold-backed T-bonds. Can you explain again why so, and what you would do differently with it to make it a viable solution? Thanks. Well, she calls it the Treasury Trust Bond. The reason I don't like it is that she talks about how commodity money is good and that central banks shouldn't interfere in interest rates. And then her solution is to link a very tiny portion of the US debt to these Treasury trust bonds. So she proposes a 5-year one, a 10-year, and the 50-year one, which would be issued next year on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And that would mature on the 300th anniversary. But the reason I don't like it is that I thought she would come out and say we need to get rid of the Fed, go back to constitutional sound money. You take your gold jewelry to the mint and they'll mint it for you for a slight fee. They'll mint it into a gold eagle or a double eagle. I thought that's what she was going to propose. Uh, and these bonds, the reason I don't like it is I would never buy a bond that would doesn't pay interest. There's zero coupon, by the way, and you only get the gold at maturity. You can't sell it and get gold. I guess one thing it does, it protects you against gold going up or the debasement of the dollar because when you buy the gold, let's say gold is at 3,000 and then 5 years later at maturity, gold is at 6,000. You're going to opt for the gold because it's worth more, and then they'll pay you the gold. So I think it's better than what we have now, but it doesn't go far enough to solve the problems. Someone recently said, I think it was Eric Young, he said they could always let the price of gold go up a lot so that the gold that the US might have will help this Treasury Trust Bond. That's why I wasn't too keen on that. And by being honest, I didn't get her to come on my channel for an interview because she said, "Oh, it's a shame you don't want to you think like that." But because she had been following me on Twitter for quite a few years,
You
but
mean Judy Shelton?
yeah.
Hmm.
So, but that's I had to be honest about what I thought. You can't just take a half step like that. I think you need to go back to sound money completely. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, unless this bond had a plausible expectation to be paid in gold, and for me it would not be plausible, I don't think people would buy it at all. I don't think they'd say, getting paid in 50 years in gold, that's a paper promise because the currency system of the world won't exist in 50 years' time. It will be something else, and they will not be paying out their gold in 50 years' time. I have no doubt at all. So why would anyone buy that? Now, if they said you can cash your bond in every day of the week for gold, and I believed it, that would be a bit more plausible, and
Yeah,
that would give the
yeah,
bond some
yeah.
value.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe even a 5-year bond or, a 6-month T-bill backed by bond. Then I would, but 50-year I wouldn't. She does talk about a 5 and 10 years. I don't know what you think, Rafi.
I wouldn't trust the government to pay anything back in 5, 10, especially not 50 years. Why would you loan the government your gold in any form and trust that you'll get it back? Because even if they do pay it back, they'll probably have to steal from someone else to pay you back, which is the whole Ponzi scheme of the bond market anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pointless. You could, instead of buying a T-bill or a bond with a promise to pay you in 6 months or 50 years, you could literally go and buy a gold bar yourself, stick it in a safe or bury it in your garden, and it'll still be there. And you're absolutely sure it will be there. Whereas with the government, who knows? They might decide they can't afford it.
Yeah, bury it in your dirty man's safe. So if anyone's looking for those, check the description below of this live stream. We get a 10% discount. Uh, There's a super chat here from NYJ. Here in North America, thank you, NYJ. Here in North America, there's a possibility of a North American Union where the long-awaited Amero could take place. US, Mexico, and Canada. Yeah, I mean, Alex Jones used to talk about the Amero 15, 20 years ago.
What's that?
It's a currency, it's like the euro version of North America. It's an Amero.
Oh.
Uh, that's the name for it. But well, uh, Trump he's been quite aggressive vis-a-vis Greenland, uh, Canada. I don't know. He could. I think he's planning to put tariffs of 25% on Mexico and Canada on the 1st of February. He might say, if you don't want the tariffs, you have to become part of the United States. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Is that what he wants? He wants Canada to become part of the United States?
Well, he has said that you should, he called Trudeau the governor of the great state of
Yeah,
Canada.
well, that's just because he's a schmuck. But no, I mean Trudeau. I mean it's
I mean, even better, Mexico becoming part of the United States, that would solve the immigration problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know if there will be an Amero. I think, yeah, I think they're just gonna. Trump is just gonna try to impose the dollar on those countries, the U.S. dollar, not the Amero. Um, anyway, but one thing's for sure. Yeah, go ahead,
has
Rafi.
has he actually imposed any tariffs yet?
No, he's saying he's gonna do it on the 1st of February, so we still got about 6 days to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
And does he doesn't need any congressional approval for that. He can just do that executively, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
he likes signing those executive orders,
I
and
saw
then
a picture of his desk like just
that,
like piled up with executive orders.
and
Okay.
they're like with these pens. They're not like you'd think he'd be using a Mont Blanc pen or something, but it's not. It's like one of those. How do you call those?
Biro?
Not a biro. It's the big.
A, a feather pen?
No, it's not a feather pen. It's the pens that you use for a whiteboard,
Oh, a marker pen.
Yeah, yeah. There's another name
Oh,
for Sharpies. He uses Sharpies.
he's using a Sharpie.
Yeah, think that's really low, very low class. But I'm not saying other presidents that don't use a Sharpie. You'd think he use a nice, Mont Blanc.
Right. Well,
It's
it's a nice touch to use a Sharpie because it's signaling that, he just wants to get down to business and doesn't need this,
yeah,
like, no pomp and circumstance,
yeah.
just
You
sign this
save
thing.
money. I guess a Sharpie is cheaper. It would
Yeah.
Doge. Uh, Any more questions, guys? We're here to answer your questions if you have more. Jim Cairns, I have a great deal of UK premium bonds, which has earned me a better return than most ISAs. When will What will be the value of these premium bonds if we have a UK pound collapse? Clive, I'll let you answer that. I think
Okay.
your
Well,
family's
first of
had
all,
experience with
let's explain what a premium bond is or
yeah.
was, still is actually. Ever since I've been born, my parents, who are long deceased, used to invest in premium bonds because a premium bond is an investment where you get no interest, but every month, without fail, they'll have a prize draw, and hundreds of thousands of people up and down the country will win anything from a small prize to the jackpot, which I think probably is still £1 million. So the prize pool varies according to interest rates. So at the moment, it was up until they raised the interest rates a few years ago. The prize pool was very small, but as the interest rates go up, they increase the prize pool by having a larger number of the small prizes. The small prizes, I think, are £25. They may have increased it to £50 now. So if you own the maximum that you're allowed to own, which I think in the UK is £40,000 per head, you could expect to probably win one prize per month. And it's great fun because some months you'll get in the post, you get two prizes or three prizes, and other months, for 2 months in a row, you get nothing. So people look forward to getting their monthly, almost monthly prize. And if you're a husband and wife, of course, you can buy 40,000 each if you've got enough money. And you're probably almost guaranteed to get a prize every month. So people really, really do like that. As to whether it's a good return or not, mathematically, the prize pool is about the same as you get on any national savings investment,
Yeah.
on a government bond.
Right.
So it's not greater.
No, the other thing I would say, my daughter had premium bonds and she won £50 once. I don't think it's a good investment. And if the pound collapses, it's going to collapse as well because it's denominated in pounds. I'd rather buy a sovereign or a half sovereign whenever I can, or a bit of silver, to be honest. There's a question here. I hadn't seen this. You guys might have seen it. What do you think of Elon's desire to get rid of the U.S. penny? Well, I would say I haven't looked at the cost of the metals that they put in the penny, but I would say it's probably costing more than a penny to mint a penny, and that's why he wants to get rid of it. You guys have an opinion on that?
Well, I can't talk about the US penny, but Mario, you will remember in your time and in my time, back in the 1960s, we had the British penny. We also, I will remember the halfpenny and the farthing. The farthing is a quarter of a penny. Um, Now, to put that in perspective, there were 240 pennies in a pound. So if you owned a halfpenny, that was 560 of them in a pound, and a farthing, of course, 1,120 in a pound. So those coins in my day would buy you something, something small like a small sweet or something. Of course, today, even with a modern day penny, which is worth 1/100th of a pound, you can't buy anything. And I'm sure the same is absolutely true in the United States. I don't think there's anything you could buy in the United States for a penny anymore. I mean, does anyone know any different?
Uh,
Mm.
no, I mean I'm checking here in my this book here to see what the penny's made out of these days.
It's 97% zinc.
Yeah, so you have to weigh the weight of the penny and then multiply it by the price of zinc.
Wasn't
Uh,
it
Yeah,
made
if
of
you go
copper?
to if you
Wasn't it
go to
copper in the old days?
coinflation,
so
so
it's 992 zinc, 0.008 copper. So it's 2.5 grams of zinc basically. So I don't know how much that would cost. What's the price of zinc? Uh,
I don't know if you go to coinflation.com, it'll give you the
yeah, price of 2.5 grams of zinc in dollars. I'm just Googling it. Um, oh, here you go. That's why he's gonna stop minting penny cents or pennies. As of today, 2.5 grams of zinc would cost approximately 15 cents based on the current market price of $2.80 per 100 grams of zinc. So it's costing 15 times more. That's just the cost of the metal. So it must, and that's why he's going to stop it, not because he doesn't like coins, but because basically it shows the inflation, the debasement of the currency. That's why he's stopping it.
And that's why they've stopped doing the silver coins. You know, the same reason.
Yeah.
50 years ago, 30 years ago, when they stopped doing them, the silver became worth more than the coin face value, and people started to hoard them. My mother, when I was a little boy, used to collect the old coins, the old silver threepennies and pences and the sixpences and so on. And I quickly got into the habit. At a very early age, I'd go to every time she came back from the shops, I'd go to her purse and swap out, if she had any very old ones, swap out my pocket money for the silver ones, and I still have a few pounds of them left over. I've never done anything with them, but they're certainly worth many times the face value now.
You cheated on your mom, Clive.
Oh no, she was happy to swap her. She was only going to use it for groceries, but she had realised her father worked for HMRC, so he understood the value of investments. Not many people did in those days, but
Yeah.
she kind of realized that the silver was worth probably more than the metal coins were worth, more than the face value.
Richard, to be true, thank you for your super chat. Can UK debt to GDP get to 300% before collapse? I think it will have collapsed way before getting there. I know Japan is close to that, but Japan at least has a lot of savings and they still produce a lot of stuff. What do you guys think? Is that possible? Right now, it's about over 100%.
wait.
You know, you can't just increase debt beyond the. And I think, first of all, it's a funny thing to compare debt to GDP. In fact, every country does it, but they should be comparing debt to tax take. And the debt is many multiples of the tax take. You know, hundreds of times the tax take. But when the European Union came into existence, they thought at the time that anything above 60% debt to GDP was unsustainable. And you couldn't join the EU unless you had a debt to GDP ratio below 60. And the average at the time was around 40.
Yeah.
Well, where are we now? You know, America's over 100 and most of Europe's over 100.
Someone asked where Rudy was, so here you go.
How nice.
You got really big eyeballs.
Yeah. Who's a good boy, Rudy?
Um, while you're talking there, Mario, I just typed into ChatGPT about the value of a US penny. The old US penny, which is presumably got made of copper, is worth 3 cents, over 3 cents now, and the new US penny is worth about 1 cent, just under 1 cent,
I see.
according to Chat. That's according to ChatGPT, which may be a bit
Well,
outdated.
yeah, I don't think it's right. Talking about Chat GPT, did you see that there's a story that came out a day or two ago? There's a new Chinese AI that's only taken 2 months to create something called DeepSeek, and they only spent $6 million making it, and it could be a challenge to all the American AI. And some people are saying that it could be really serious if the Chinese can produce AI in only 2 months and only spend $6 million. What does that say about all these? I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I
No,
mean,
a
I,
Chinese
I've
AI, it
have
sounds like it'll just copy everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen DeepSeek. I mean, I've seen countless AIs and tried many of them. Uh, I have to say, it's gone from a little bit odd to very, very surprising, and it's knocking my socks off as to some of the things it can do now. It's absolutely amazing.
Calm down,
So
buddy.
it's
Sorry.
God knows where it's going to go, but it's going very fast, faster than I've ever seen anything go before in technology.
So they're even talking about this on CNBC. DeepSeek is the black swan open AI and NVIDIA didn't see coming. So some people think it could crash NVIDIA, but we'll have to wait and see until the market's open. There could be a bit of an exaggeration, who knows? Guys, I think we've gone over the a lot of time. Just want to thank here Vince Kissler for your super chat and also Sonny Olofsson. Thank you. And Clive and Rafi, thank you for coming on the live stream.
Thanks for having me again. I got to have you back on my channel soon, Mario.
Sure, anytime. Thank
All
you,
right.
Clive. Have a great week, guys, and the viewers too.
All
I
right.
think you've got one last super chat there, Mario.
Yes, Sonny Olofsson. Yes, some Swedish krona. Thank you, Sonny.
Jolly good.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
And hi, Clive, you still there?
Yeah, just wondering what SCK 20 is worth.